The Irish Sport of Hurling by Shayla Morris. Where did hurling come from? Hurling originated in 1272. It evolved from a tale of Tain Bo Coulange. I looked up how you pronounce that. There was not a good way to explain it. It's a tale about a hero who slayed a fierce guard dog by hurling a ball down his throat. Here he is pictured. There are many depictions of which both the dog looked like and the hero looked like. The dog was guarding a food supply, and that is why they were going after him, and this was the only way that they could find to kill him, because apparently they didn't have arrows or anything at that time. The concept of hurling. So hurling is an Irish field invasion game. It was played with a stick and a ball. These are called a hurley and a slotar, respectively. The team consists of 15 players, and the objective is to drive the balls through the goals or by putting the ball over the bar. You may be asking, what is the bar? Well, you'll see when we get deeper into how you score in hurling. So the equipment of hurling is first and foremost the hurley. It's pictured over here on the right. Without getting too in depth with it, it's a stick. It's called caman in Irish. It's curved outwards in the end to provide a striking surface. So really, it kind of looks like to me a short wooden golf club. The other equipment that's used is, of course, the slotar, which is the ball. The description from my reading tells me that it's kind of bigger than a tennis ball with a consistency hardness of a baseball. So it really wouldn't feel right or good if you got hit with it. The first helmet was worn in a match in 1969. But it was not required until 2010, which is interesting because hurling is considered one of the most violent and dangerous sports in Ireland. So the rules of hurling. I thought that this little graphic that I found was great. I got it from this website down here. It really just honed in on what we can and can't do in hurling. Just a much better way to learn about it. It's quick and easy. It shows us the size difference between a soccer field, a rugby field, and then a hurling field, which is it's about 1/3 bigger than both soccer and rugby fields. It's twice the size of a soccer pitch, excuse me. It shows us the net that we have. You see here how the goal is at the bottom, and that little crossbar area is also open, and that's also another way to score. We have the helmet, the hurley, that each hurling team has 15 players. There's a goalkeeper, a full forwards, half forwards, midfielders, half forwards, full forwards. Kind of sounds like soccer, but there are more players. So scoring, there's 30-minute halves and 10-minute halftime, which sounds very familiar to our basketball games. So we get 1 point if we get the ball over the bar, and 3 points if it goes under the bar in the goal. What you can and can't do with the ball. You can catch the ball, you can run with the ball, you can throw in with your hand, you can kick it, and you can strike it, which is when you physically hit the ball with the hurley. What you can't do is pick the ball up with your hand. So you can catch it, and you can throw it with your hand, but you cannot pick it off the ground. Oh, you can throw the ball, but you hand pass it. And you can carry the ball. You can't carry the ball down the field, so you have to pass it forward. It's kind of like football. You can run with the ball balancing on the hurley, though. And that's about our entire... We do have the United States Atlantic Athletic Association, which governs 130 Atlantic sporting clubs based in the U.S. They're not very prominent. And then the main we have is the Atlantic Athletic Association. So how you score. We touched on this briefly a second ago. but you score the ball by you get a point by this nice little diagram if you get it in the area that kind of looks like a field goal, and then 3 points if you get it in the actual goal. A goal is symbolized by raising a green flag, which is always raised on the left side of the goal. And then a point is symbolized by raising a white flag on the right side. So that's the flag difference. If fans not watching don't initially know which one's which because they're not on the field, kind of like when you think a soccer ball went in, but it actually went way past. And goals can be scored from play or from set pieces such as free or sideline cuts. So the officials, there are 7 officials in hurling. There's 1 referee to keep the game and players under control. There's 2 linesmen. Their job is to indicate when the ball leaves the field of play. And 4 umpires. And their job is to signal scores and to assist the referee in controlling the game and to help the linesmen mark the ball. So they need to mark in which place the ball goes out of bounds for the other team. And that's partially the job of the linesmen and then as well as these umpires. So the head referee is in the middle here, and then out to his sides are the linesmen, and then from there we have our umpires. So the governing bodies of hurling. The main governing body of hurling for Ireland, where it originated, as well as any other hurling team over the pond, is the Atlantic Athletic Association. It's commonly known as the GAA. And the GAA was established in 1884 by Michael Cusack. So where is hurling played? Hurling is mainly played in Ireland, where the sport originated from. It's also a big proponent of their way of life. A lot of people live and breathe hurling in Ireland. Some places where it's also played are South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Argentina, and some of Europe. We also know that they play a little bit in the U.S., just not nearly to the scale that these countries do. So the profile of these participants of hurling, they kind of remind me a little bit of lacrosse players. So their physical conditioning of the modern player has allowed him to move quickly into space to gain possession of the ball, in many cases uncontested. So that means that over the years of hurling, a lot of players have gotten stronger, they've gotten quicker through different conditioning drills and other things. But overall, the physique of a player is muscular. They have the most fat on their bodies compared to other GAA game sport participants. So they have the highest amount of fat, so they're not the most in shape of all of the sports, but they're still very much so kind of, again, the level of a Major League Lacrosse player. So the main events for hurling. There are 2 main events for hurling. There's the Gaelic Games in Ireland's ancient national sport games. They've been going on since hurling originated in the BC. It's made up of 4 events. There's hurling, football, rounders, which is a bat and ball strike game, and handball. However, hurling and football are the most popular and get the most amount of attendees. And there's also the GAA Hurling All-Ireland Senior Championship, which is more known as the All-Ireland Championship, and it's the highest inter-country hurling competition in Ireland. It has been contested every year except 1. So what this is, it's basically like the World Series of baseball, or more commonly actually the NFL, because it's played completely within North America. So this event is played only in Ireland. Nobody plays it from South Korea or Argentina that comes over. It's only in Ireland. So the media in hurling, for what I understand, is kind of like the introduction that U.S. journalists used to have with sports before there became things like sports informations and SIDs and stuff like that. So the media in hurling it's very loose, the arrangements, to say the least. A great quote that I got from an article was, "Conversations follow the format of the players are snatched, they're on the move, the bus is idling in neutral, ready to go, and the wind is whistling in the background, and the gatekeeper's holding up the keys, getting ready to lock it up." So it's not really like scheduled time, there's no press conference, it's more like the journalists kind of kidnap players as they're trying to leave to get some of their answers questioned. And then there was a combination of fear and crash course media training that has led to the grim dance of say nothingism, which mainly means there's a combination of now players are afraid of what they're going to say and be written as they said when they didn't say it, which is the old twisting of the words game. And they also have the situation of reporters, because they've created this kind of culture of not being so sure, that they're also now worried that they're not going to get anything. So now the reporters aren't getting what they need and the players aren't talking to reporters. And basically I summed that up in my last point. So as for sponsorship, hurling doesn't allow sponsorships, at least through the GAA that governs hurling, because it's supposed to be considered an amateur league. So if they're kind of like our NCAA, they're not amateurs if they're being paid by a sponsor. So they get to work through the GAA sponsors. And their main sponsors are Little Woods Ireland, which is a leading retail store. They sell clothes and stuff. This energy company, and Centra, which is like a very big chain of grocery stores in Ireland. And then for our fun facts to kind of wrap up our presentation here, hurling was outlawed once was outlawed many times throughout history. It survived and flourished in the early 19th century, but mainly due to patronization by landlords. And the first of several bans of the playing of hurling came in effect in Ireland in the 13th century as part of the Sloot of Killiney in a series of 35 acts introduced in 1366. So hurling was banned a lot because of how violent the sport is, and they didn't have the technology to make it safer. Not that they used that technology until 2010, but this just really made it more. Everybody thought that it was becoming safer by outlawing the sport, but the sport didn't stay dead. It came back throughout the years. And because hurling is considered one of the most dangerous sports in the world, because of the lack of protective gear. I mean, they used to run around with wooden sticks and just shorts and a t-shirt and this giant ball and hope for the best. And the All-Ireland Senior Championship Final was named number 2 on CNN's list of 10 sporting events you have to see live. And I completely agree with that. Like, I would love to see this game played live. I wouldn't understand anything that's going on, but I think it would be really cool to see live. And then finally, hurling is the male version of the sport. And so the female version of hurling is known as camiage. So hurling can in fact not be played by boys and girls. They are two different sports with two different names, kind of like softball and baseball. And here are my references that I used for this presentation. Thanks so much for watching.